Kaurna people today. With you the council prayer. We humbly bow before thy throne of mercy, O God, our Heavenly Father, and seek wisdom and understanding as we face the duties of our united task, praying for the welfare of our city and the peace and prosperity of our land. In the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. Please be seated. Well, a terrific dinner, and our guests are still happily enjoying themselves next door. We have to leave in a little bit of a rush. We might be start time, I think, in the future. Next item on the agenda, on leave, we have Neil, and apologies, Neil, as far as I'm aware, all present and accounted for. Is that right?
All right.
Yeah. How we are. Very good. And may someone confirm the minutes for the ordinary meeting of council on Tuesday the 27th and the special council meeting on Tuesday the 2nd of February. Councillor Bruce moved and Councillor Barnett seconded. Either of you wish to speak to it? Any further debate? All those in favour? Against? Carried. The Mayor's report is there before you on page 408 and 409. I don't believe there are any last minute additions or detractions. Suffice to say there's an increasing amount of interest in investing in the city, so I often get sidelined by people here and there to talk about what might be. I tell them to get their act together. So I don't always get the chance to record all those meetings, but I do try very hard to capture them. Certainly caught up with Senator Alex Gallagher lately and realised that we haven't incorporated him into our community. He has his office down there by the Regent Hotel. He's an Australian senator representing South Australia. He's obviously a member of the Labor Party, but his principal job is to represent all of us, and he's not on our invitation list. So I've made sure that he now is, and because his office is here, we'll make sure we can get him along to some citizenship ceremonies and the like, so that you too get a chance to meet him and build a relationship there as well. But I'd be grateful if someone would move the report as presented to you. Councillor Lee wishes to speak to it, and seconded by Councillor Harris wishes to speak to it. Any further debate? All those in favour? Against? Is carried. Thank you. We now have the verbal reports from council representatives on local government organisations. Are there any reps on those organisations who wish to provide a verbal report? Councillor Barnett.
Yes, it does come up under agenda item for Eastern Health Authority report. So perhaps it's usually about the only time I get to say something under this, with being a councillor, so one of the four representatives on the Eastern Health Authority, along with our newest latest Councillor Tallis. And so just reporting that Councillor Evans and I attended the first board meeting for this year, and so there will be more coming up about that in the report on the Eastern Health Authority, and the fact that we're requesting that our member councils of the Eastern Health Authority accept our $12,000 profit.
Oh, well, that might be very difficult. Thank you for that verbal report. Is there any other representatives who want to provide a verbal report? No? We'll move along. To next item, petitions. We have nil, deputations nil, motions on notice. We have one from Councillor Harris. And in accordance with our procedures, if you could please be upstanding, Councillor, and read that out by way of movement.
No worries. Just got it here. The motion is Council Administration provide a report with details of Council previous membership of the Murray-Darling Association and the costs and benefits of renewing the membership. I'm hoping to get this report. I've seen some paperwork and spoken to people about it. I've been on the Murray-Darling Association before, and a couple of others, Tim Newell and a few other people, and I did have a chance to listen to someone for about 3 seconds coming through the door. Why should we be on it? And we might have a difference, but it might have been the same attitude I had when we went on it. But hopefully, I was one of the people that are on in an unlucky period of one of our worst droughts here for a heck of a long time, and hopefully it stays like that. Now we've got a desal plant and a few other things. But I learned quite a bit about the various councils and how far the Murray-Darling stretches, not so much the river itself stretches, but the area that affects for us right up to Whyalla, Port Pirie, Port Augusta, and I think the pipeline goes from there right up to Cooper Pedy, but I'm not sure about that one. But they do go out to a lot of country places, and if you look around our city during the drought and the previous council, and I might add previous to me, previous council and that, some of the plantings and that we got around the place, beautiful grass, it could be this green or that green, but that's about as far as it goes. But we took a decision to make things very water consciously sort of thing, and I feel something like the Murray-Darling Association assists this and assists us in looking at other parts of Australia. So I see it as a very good thing to be associated with, to not just help ourselves, to help the state as a whole and the country as a whole. So I'd like people to support it and see what the report says, and if it's worthwhile being part of it. I don't think my mind will change. I think it is. And hopefully we at least get the report and we make a decision from there. That's all.
You have a second? Councillor Bowman, you speak to it. Do I have any further debate? Councillor Good.
Look, I'll just very briefly. Thank Councillor Harris for bringing this to Council. We did consider this 2 years ago in Council. We had a request from the Association to provide funding to them. And at the time, I think what the previous Council struggled with was the benefits, and that's where we, I think, ended up making a decision fund membership. So my point is, I think it's a good one to revisit. I think it's good to do that. And the motion is just a call for a report, and so it's not actually making a decision, it's just calling for a report. But could I just stress maybe when the report's prepared that the benefits component of it is really examined, because I think that's where certainly I personally struggled last time to support it. And I think that will be useful in the debate that we might have as part of the budget deliberation about whether we rejoin or not. It's clearly in there, but I just want to reiterate that point about the benefits for Prospect and for its citizens. But thank Councillor Harris for bringing it to us.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further debate? No, being the case, Councillor Harris, you see you need to sum up?
No.
All those in favour? Against? It is carried. Okay. We'll do that one to the CEO to move along with. Thank you. And next on the agenda we have questions with notice nil. Are there any questions without notice? No, that being the case, move to the protocol that we will adopt the reports en bloc other than those which are withdrawn. So does anybody wish to withdraw item 19.1? No. Item 19.2 we do need to withdraw to nominate a couple of names in there, even if they are the same as the ones we currently have. Our second budget review, as presented at the workshops, anybody wish to withdraw that tonight? No. 19.4, the petition policy, again dealt with at the workshops. Anybody wish to withdraw that tonight? No. 19.5, supplementary local road funding for South Australian councils. Does anybody wish to withdraw that? No. 19.6, the Ombudsman's advised code of conduct complaint, Nielsen versus Priest. Does anybody wish to remove that one? Councillor Groot. Thank you. 19.7, council members' personal interest discussion paper. Dealt with rather rapidly, but I hope you've caught up with the comments that the staff have recommended we make. Does anybody wish to withdraw that one tonight? No? It's a good endorsement for you, Manager. 19.8, 2014 Eastern Region Alliance annual report. Wish to withdraw that to allow the CEO to make some comments. 19.9, the Eastern Health Authority second budget review, referred to earlier by Councillor Barnett. Does anybody wish to withdraw that out for today? Okay. Can I have someone move there for 19.1, 19.3, 19.4, 19.5, 19.7 and 19.9? Move Councillor Lee and seconded by Councillor Barnett. There is no debate in moving on the block, so All those in favour? Against? They are all carried. Thank you. Okay, so we'll move to 19.2, which we've withdrawn because it has, of course, in item 2, a couple of names need to be populated there. It's on page 400, recommendation, sorry, it's on page 431. And by way of introduction, every council is, of course, invited to its general meeting of its association. We remember, therefore, we're invited. There are a number of motions put forward by the board and by member councils. So there's 2 items here. One is, do we want to put forward a motion? Nobody of the staff have requested any to come from elected members, and there haven't been any. So the assumption is there are no motions to come to this general meeting. There are 2 per year, so we can think about the next 6-month opportunity. And secondly, the membership has to decide whether that motion gets up or not, so we have to exercise our vote. Because I'm the chair at the moment, I can't exercise the vote, so therefore we normally nominate somebody else. Currently it's Deputy Mayor, Councillor Groot, and we have a proxy, and I think at the moment proxy I think is Councillor Barnett. So that's the situation, but we need to re-endorse that at every general meeting, I'm sure. So I'll call for nominations for, yes, nominations. You can self-nominate. So Councillor Barnett.
Yes, I'll nominate Deputy Mayor Councillor Mark Groot be appointed as Council's voting delegate. And I just wish to advise that I won't be putting my name forward as the Deputy voting delegate because I'll be away on the overseas at the time, so I don't think I can vote by proxy yet.
No, not that there's an act that governs it, but no. Simple answer is no. Okay, thank you. Councillor Groot, you're happy with that nomination? Are there any further nominations for the Council's voting delegate?
Can I ask, it may say it in here, but can I ask what would be involved?
You can stand up, so.
Can I please ask what would be involved in that position?
Yes, sure can. Yes. As described, there's an agenda which has a number of items on it. Sometimes there can be as many as 50, sometimes a bit less. Most of them are from the board and they've been worked on for some time. They are updates on policy positions or updates on formal motions requested by the membership. Then comes a section which is called the Council Motions section, and they are sometimes controversial, often not. And there is debate on the council motions certainly attract a lot of debate, and the membership needs to make a decision. Every council receives at least 1 vote. Large councils receive 3. Prospect is allocated 2 votes. It's done by a process of different coloured cards. If there is what looks like a split decision, or the chair can't work out whether it's in favour or against, then they'll stop and go through the colours one by one and do a count of the vote value and number. So the voting delegate has to hold our card up as their principal purpose. We bring the proposed motions or the recommendations, we bring them all to council for us to have a think about how we should vote, and that delegate takes forward our wishes. We don't have to do that, but we have introduced that to the council so that people feel involved in that. On the whole, we agree to support most, oppose a very few, and are doubtful on some. That is not binding. We make sure it's not binding on the voting delegate because, of course, there's a debate. So there may be very good reasons raised by other people in the debate as to why we should not oppose something we thought we should, or we should oppose something we thought we should support, or we'll sway the voting delegate's mind on those ones that we were unsure of. So there is a degree of discretion required by the voting delegate, and therefore knowledge of the city and local government. There's no doubt about that. But that, I think, in essence, is the role. Councillor, anything further you wish to add to that? So does that answer your question?
Yep.
Councillor Bain.
Yeah, if I may just add by way of explanation that we usually have 2 of our senior members of council,
Yes.
like
CEO. CEO never wants to miss a general meeting. You're not be surprised with what comes out of it, so, do you? There you go. So, that's, are there any further nominations for the council's voting delegate?
You mean, so it's okay to self-nominate?
Absolutely, yes.
I'd like to nominate for the deputy voting delegate position.
Councillor Lowe for that. Then I suggest what we do is have a ballot for that position, and then the person who's successful, of course, will be nominated and move that way. The person who's unsuccessful may wish to be considered for the deputy position. It's probably the best way to do it. So,
We've only got one nomination.
oh, you're nominating for the voting delegate or the deputy?
Deputy.
Sorry, deputy. I misheard you. Sorry, Councillor. That makes it a bit easier. Are there any, well, I'm not finished yet. Are there any further nominations for the deputy voting delegate? Not bad. Those make it easy. Okay, excellent. All right, now I'm assuming that no one is going to raise a notice of motion on the floor tonight. Thank goodness. It is your right to do that, councillors, but it gets really messy trying to workshop that in a council meeting. I advise you not to do that in future if I can indulge you that way. Bring it to a workshop first is always far more successful. In that case, could somebody please move item 2. So moved. Councillor Lee, do you wish to speak to it? We'll have a seconder. Councillor Harris, do you wish to speak to it?
Thanks.
Any further debate? All those in favour? Against? Carried. Congratulations, Deputy Mayor Groot and Councillor Lowe. Enjoy the experience. Yes, we'll talk more about that later. Okay, back to our list. The next item withdrawn was 19.6, the South Australian Ombudsman's advice on the Code of Conduct complaint, Milton versus Priest. The recommendation is on page 483. In accordance with our procedures, Councillor Groot, just a brief reason why you withdrew.
I'd like to move an amendment to the recommendation.
Right, in which case you're not interested in moving it as it is. Does somebody wish to move it to get it on the floor? Let me just before I ask that again, just let me check something. I'm just checking that the amendment wouldn't be contrary to noting the report. It would be in addition to, which is happy to accept, provided everyone else votes for it. Councillor Lee, you're happy to second it?
Move it.
No? Sorry to move it. Okay, thank you. Do you wish to speak to it?
Just really briefly, because I think Councillor Groot will probably say what I reflect my feelings on it too. I just found it really disappointing. I found that there's no recourse for Ms. Nelson. There's nothing we can do about pursuing Ms. Fred, no longer a councillor, because he is no longer a councillor, but I just find it very unsatisfactory that he gets to leave and there's nothing for fixes whatsoever. So I think Councillor Groot is following up. Just wanted to say this is dissatisfied.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second? Councillor Stanton, thank you. Do you wish to speak to it?
No, thank you.
Understanding that that's your right to speak. That's okay, I'm sure. Councillor Groot, back to you.
Thank you. Look, I'm hesitant to move an amendment on this particular paper or this motion, but I am really concerned. When I read the report, I was really concerned with the response from the Ombudsman, and I think it's a difficult conversation to have because 4 elected members around this table are acutely aware of the background to this and 4 are not. So I think that puts the 4 new councillors in a fairly difficult position. But that said, the Ombudsman made a couple of points which don't necessarily reflect an error in process from his point of view or error in fact, but I think, and to pick up Councillor Lee's point of view, it's just very disappointing. I think it doesn't provide any closure for Ms Nielsen. I'm sure it does for Mr Priest, but not for Lindsay. What I'd like to, and the amendment I'd like to make is for us to write the Ombudsman and just, if it's the view of the council, to reflect that our view as a council is that the outcome isn't satisfactory. There is no recourse at all, or no sort of penalty for Mr. Priest whatsoever as a result of this. We can't seek to change that. We can't seek to change the Ombudsman's outcome. But I think just to leave it like that it would be remiss of us not to actually make some sort of recommendation or some sort of comment back to the Ombudsman. So, going up on the screen, write the Ombudsman to reflect the Council's view. I'll let that process happen over there. But as I said, it is a difficult one. It's not saying that we want to rehash all the time. I think it does bring the whole matter to a closure. But I'm just not satisfied with the Ombudsman giving us this response and us not finalising that loop back to him to express our concern, if it is indeed the Council's concern, that there is no penalty at all for Mr. Priest for his behaviour. So the amendment is I think rather than the administration, I think it's council. I think it is the council.
That's fine. Is the CEO, the council, right? Yep, it's fine.
Well, it's the council's view, that's not the CEO's view.
But it's on behalf of the council that the CEO
Yeah.
Well, your amendment,
the mechanics I'm not so interested in. Actually, it's the intent is that the council writes the Ombudsman to reflect it's actually sorry,
Unsatisfactory is it doesn't go far enough to closure.
may I suggest you use some of your words, Councillor, which is that there's no recourse, there's been no effective penalty. And I could add, probably inappropriately, I don't believe there's been an apology.
Well, the Ombudsman stated that he considered that there was an apology, but it was inadequate and self-serving. So,
appropriate apology.
An appropriate apology, I think, yeah, appropriate. So we could say, Council writes the Ombudsman to reflect our view that, and there might be 2 dot points here. One, no apology was provided to Mr. Muslim. Point is there is no recourse as a result of Mr. Priest's behaviour. There's no recourse as a result of Mr. Priest's behaviour. So I think it just picks up those 2 points which I've got concerns about. The apology and really no recourse as a result of behaviour. Apologies, I probably should have had this written out before tonight.
No, just a casual observation from the Chair. No, not at all.
Yes.
Can we just check this wording? I'm acutely aware this is your amendment, Councillor, so
okay.
You've got to be happy with it.
Yep, I've got about 2.5 minutes left to work it out. 1, that the result of the investigation by the Ombudsman.
As a result of the investigation by the Ombudsman. No recourse provided as a result, or is there some word missing there?
Yeah, I'm happy with no recourse provided.
And are you asking the Ombudsman to do anything in particular?
Well, look, I don't think we have scope to be honest. That's my impression, but I'd certainly take advice from the Mayor or from the administration if we are able to do that. In reading the letter from the Ombudsman, he talks about if there is any error, an error in my assessment of the matter. Well, he's actually stated that these things happen. It's just the outcome of what he stated is very poor. So I'm not sure we can. He agreed that the incident happened. He agreed that the apology was inadequate and self-serving, and made some commentary about not standing for election. I take your advice, Mr. Mayor, but I'm not sure whether we can.
Well, just CEO is not sure we can do much more, but I'll take the advice of the manager who's in touch with this stuff. All right. Oh, okay, so perhaps if you want to state that, Manager, that might be useful.
Through you, Matt. My suggestion might be to ask the Ombudsman, instead of closing the investigation, to leave leave it open in case Mr. Priest was ever to nominate for local government again.
Thank you, Manager. So you've probably got less than a minute to add or whatever, Councillor.
Can I ask a question, which has one time stops for me?
Sure.
The question is, are we actually able to ask the Ombudsman to keep it open, or are we able to ask the Ombudsman to reinstate any penalty if Mr. Priest chooses to select or seek re-election? And would that just be for prospect, or could that be across the state?
Through you, Mayor. I believe we can ask him anything.
Okay. In which case, let's go for in addition, council request that the Ombudsman not closed, just keep motion, not closed investigation.
Yeah, the matter or file.
Not close the matter and leave the file open
To Mr. Priest, in the event that, or in the event Mr. Priest
Chooses.
he chooses to nominate for a local government position
in the future.
in the future.
I'm sorry that was a bit messy. As I said, I've been giving this some thought, but I haven't pen and paper. I just want to make it very clear, this is not a witch hunt against Mr. Priest. It's just, this is a long-standing issue that took a lot of energy and time for elected members over the last 4 years. I think it's important that the end point of this is accurate and reflective of the council, and provides closure not just for Mr. Priest and Ms. Nielsen, but also for council.
I have to stop you there. It was a bit of to and fro, but this is certainly 5 minutes. So I have a second for the amendment. Second for the amendment. Councillor Harris, your second.
Question then I will. Can't we just ask then, does the mover and seconder accept it, or?
Oh, sorry, I can? Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Because then I only get one spot to speak, don't I?
Correct. I will take the liberty of doing that. It is a substantial amendment, but nevertheless, it's not contrary to the original motion, so I will take the liberty of asking the mover, Councillor Lee, you happy to incorporate? Councillor Standen, as seconder, you happy to incorporate? In that case, I seek leave of the meeting to incorporate this and make it part of the motion. All those in favour?
Before you do that, could you just correct the grammatical thing? It's incorrect. It's council writes the Ombudsman to reflect its view.
Yes, thank you. And there was another question, Councillor Bowman.
Am I able to speak to this at all? Or
Not,
no? Okay.
Not just yet, because mover and seconder have agreed to incorporate, so my next step I have to do for the chair is seek leave of the meeting to incorporate it become a motion. Once it becomes a motion, then you are free to speak. Okay? So all those in favour of incorporating this change into the motion? Okay, all those against, that was everybody. Now it becomes the motion. Thank you. So we'll resume debate, having heard from 3 speakers. So does anybody else wish to debate for that? Councillor Bowman, please.
Sorry, Stan.
Yes.
Look, I saw this in the report, and I guess it was just to be noted, and obviously there is a history about this. Having just been on LGA training up in Harndorf and heard from the Ombudsman directly, I'm just concerned that we're, I suppose, making a decision. We, like the new councillors, we're maybe not privy to the whole history. And it was noted, I think, in the Ombudsman report, the closure of this in light of their assessment. I think there is a point where we have to respect the process and maybe look at the process. And I don't know, has Miss Lindy Nielsen approached us to complain on her behalf? Or
I'll refer that question to the manager. not specifically about this matter, to my understanding. Any further speakers? Councillor Harris.
Thanks. I wanted to see what you were going to say first, so it led me to where I am. Particularly for the new people as we go along, I support both the amendment now being part of the motion, and I find it pretty important, and just point out one mistake that the amendment mover made. He said that this council had dealt with it, in the last 4 years, and then he's talking about himself and me, but the previous council also dealt with it, so it's over an 8-year period that these problems actually happen. I quite often supported, at that stage, Councillor Priest, because there's various things that people have a right to speak about, have their views that might be opposite to everyone else, and those sort of things happen, and I believe unless they're racist or a few other things that come in, they should be allowed to have those opposite views. But we got to the stage at the end, and we had a councillor that, for his behaviour, caused an embarrassment. My shoulder's a bit broader than embarrassment, but it was a burden on the council and decent people. In this case, what you're reading here is one incident, which was the last instance, but I think it's approximately about 8 odd different sort of incidents that came through. And I had one mental problem with it, that I think if someone does the wrong thing and misbehaves or treats people, particularly people that are less powerful than them, in these ways, they should be punished, and we should make sure they can't work within our system. But I also believe there should be the right of somebody that they can change their tune one day. Something might happen, the tooth fairy might come and they'll wake up decent people and maybe change. So that covers me when you put that last bit in, that if he did apply again for this council or any council as a position, that the matter could be raised. And he might be in a position that he's a different person. So that still leaves that open. But if it was right now, in my position, I support what we have said, as opposed I'm very disappointed what the ombudsman said, because there was no strength in it. There was no strength. And this particular person that we dealt with here needed punishment. I don't mean a whipping or something like that, but we had to sort of stand up. The people that he offended, and in this instance and also in other instances around, are people that were weaker in stature than him, not necessarily internally, but people that were weaker, and he took great advantage of it. I personally would like to sort out some of these things in a different way, but the system doesn't let you. So I'm happy to support this motion, and always say Bruce had, or Councillor Priest at that stage, had a few reasonably good ideas, and maybe he'll change and come good, but I'll still wait until the tooth fairy comes. So I support the motion as it is.
Thank you. Further debate? Back to you, Councillor Lee, if you wish to sum up.
I thank Councillor Group for bringing forward this motion. I was thinking desperately how we could bring about some sort of closure to an absolutely disgraceful time of the whole time that I knew Councillor Priest. One of my first council meetings was dealing with a code of conduct from him, and it wasn't the first, and I've been on for 8 years, so it's years ago. So for the time of bullying, inflammatory and predatory behaviour of those weaker in stature, and especially of women, it saddens me that the ombudsman can just close off, and there's nothing that teaches him a lesson about how his behaviour and his abuse of power, what his abuse of power is like for people. We just went through it, tightening up the code of conduct. Maybe we should have thought about what happens in these circumstances. What happens when people leave their council position and it's just left in the air and they're allowed to get away with whatever it is that they did. It kind of validates their behaviour and makes it seem like it's okay when there is absolutely no consequences for what so again, I thank Council for bringing this forward, and I really hope that the Ombudsman considers what we're asking and perhaps put it in place. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the debate. All those in favour? Against? It is carried unanimously. Thank you. We now move on to the next item, which is 19.8, the Eastern Region Annual Report on page 510. And I have done so deliberately to allow the CEO and perhaps his directors to speak to the report. The Eastern Region Alliance is an entity that we work incredibly hard at, but only at Mayor and CEO level. It's very hard for us to explain what we're up to. The officers, directors are heavily involved in the initiatives. As elected members, you often hear about it second or third hand. But it's a very important part of it. Sharing services across council boundaries and also training staff, the development of staff, the development of projects which are more than we would think of on our own. It has a very important role to play going forward and has in the past. So, CEO, just some more salient points out of the report if you want.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. The Eastern Regional Alliance is just that, an alliance of councils, 7 councils in fact. We have Burnside, Campbelltown, Unley, Walkerville, Nord, Planning Affairs and Tea Tree Gully and ourselves. It's a collection of councils that have commonality between them and have the ability to work together. And it's really quite a unique collection of councils working in cooperation in the metro area. There aren't that many other groupings of councils like that. So it has been a good entity to enable all those councils to work together voluntarily. And I've talked about it to you before. I'd like you to become much more aware of the activities that that group of councils have undertaken, because it is important that councils do resource share and cooperate with each other. The CEOs meet once a month. Getting 7 CEOs together to meet once a month is quite a feat in itself. That's been happening for the last 6 years, and now it's also quite a powerful thing. Other CEOs don't meet anywhere near as frequently as that, and so as a result of the CEOs meeting, there's a lot of cooperation and a lot of good discussion about how we can work together. There is also a number of groups discussed in the annual report, and those working groups have been very productive as well. Not all projects involve all councils. They are literally a voluntary arrangement, so any item that is brought before the Eastern Regional Alliance, those councils that consider that topic to be relevant to them can participate. Those that don't have to. That's why it's more of an alliance than a strong requirement to be involved. One project in particular that I think is relevant to this council is the Creative Industries and the Smart Regions project that our Director of Business and Economic Development, Matt Grant, has been involved in. I would appreciate it perhaps Matt could talk a little bit about that project to explain the importance of the work that's being done. But before I sit down, I'd just like to recommend the annual report to you and just allude to the fact that it's an important body, and I hope in the future to explain more to you about the activities that have been undertaken. Thanks, Matt.
Briefly, Director.
Yeah, so as the CEO mentioned, I'm the chair of the ERA Economic Development Portfolio Group, and I've held that position since July last year. You'll read in the 2014 report there's been a focus on the Business Enterprise Centre, and we've been lucky enough. I released a memo, I think at the end of last week, around the funding that's been increased for funding that group for the next 3 years, and we're pretty sure that's because of us working together collectively as a region of councils, building our local economy. The focus for 14-15 financial year is on the creative industry sector, and a way forward report was done on what the opportunities are for the East, and 5 recommendations came out of that. 4 are now in train, and one of those is forming, one of the most powerful ones is forming a Creative Industry Association reference group. So we're going to the industry to actually drive the projects that we should be doing, and that's progressing well. They had their first meeting in February, and Councillor Larwood, wearing another hat, is a member of that group through his industry association as well. And I'm really excited, and the group are really positive about some actions that are going to come out of that in the next 3 to 4 months. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on the report at all? If not, I'll ask someone to move it. Thank you, Councillor Barnett. Would you speak to it?
Yes, I do. I think it's most important, and I think if we refer to the overview on attachment 4, page 515, that about the economic contribution of our, I'll call it ERA, our Eastern Regions Alliance. The value of goods and services produced within the ERA's boundaries is estimated to be $10.1 billion in 2011. This represents 11.1% of South Australia's gross state product, making ERA a significant force within Greater Metropolitan Adelaide. And I could pick out other points. And I think it's just such a shame that, yet again, there's been statements, movements, people talking about councils' amalgamations. And I really honestly believe that those people, and that includes some members of our media, just do not understand our job, our role. They do not perhaps make it their business to try and understand, but just, repeat the same old sort of, tired old cliches. So I would really like to have a messenger reporter here present tonight, so I would hope that she would diligently read through and pick out some of the great things that are happening in our Eastern Region Alliance without having to go through a lot of the pain that amalgamation are offering to the councils and to the residents.
Thank you. And we'll have a second. Councillor Stan, would you speak to it?
I do. A couple of years ago, I had the good fortune to be a consultant to the Eastern Region Alliance. Firstly, I was consulting with 3 councils, and as the project gathered speed, it was 4 and then 5 and then the full 7. And it was really good to see how them coming together, the sum was greater than the parts alone. And we were able to do something that had the councillors individually tried to do it, they wouldn't have been able to achieve it. And it was great. I thought initially it would be like herding cats, but they worked together and they were able to get the project through efficiently. But it was great. It was good to work with them, and it was interesting. I didn't know it existed at that stage, but it was a great eye-opener to see it all in progress.
That's great from the outside. Yeah. Any further debate? No? That concludes debate unless Councillor Bunning wishes to sum up.
No.
All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, so now we get to the council diary. And just a note there's quite a bit of public consultation going on in the next few weeks that is not on this list. So just to run through those, we have the Broadview Oval Master Plan Community Workshops this Thursday at 10 a.m. and at 6 p.m. I'm hoping you get to at least one of those. I hope some of you can make it as well, or to listen than to participate, because we get our charts around this table to participate. It's great to hear first-hand feedback from people. And also the local heritage places DPA information sessions on Wednesday the 18th of March here at the Civic Centre, and Saturday the 21st of March at the Thomas Street Centre. The Civic Centre one is 5:30 p.m. And the Thomas Street Centre on the 21st is 11 a.m. So a couple of different places and a couple of different times to try and help people who want to be able to make one or the other. Councillor Barnett, a question?
Just add to that, I've checked with our director for that, and I believe there's going to be some information that also at the Prospect Fair about the heritage.
Oh, terrific. Is that's the case? Yes. Yeah, terrific. Excellent. And I understand various people are preparing submissions, including Prospect's local history group, and that'll be a comprehensive submission. So there'll be a lot of feedback, I presume, including from people who don't want to have a bar of it. So it's a tough gig, and it's probably good if we can get to one of those sessions and again listen rather than try and participate in those sessions, because of course we can do that here. The rest of the diary there in front of you, the Farmers Market, Twilight Market, the last Twilight concert. For those of you who are new to the Twilight concerts, this is usually the biggest one. The temperatures and the weather this year has been fabulous, the best I can remember for years. It's 37 during the day, so it'll be fantastic. 30 degrees or something at night. would be excellent. Up driveway 2, the next art gallery opening, Alien Terrains, on the Sunday the 1st of March. Might go, could learn something. The elected member residential seminar, of course, where we're all expected to turn up and participate as best we can on the 15th of March and Sunday, so the 14th of March and Sunday the 15th of March. So I understand 9 a.m. start on the Saturday, but we'll get correspondence about this and finish up at lunch on the Sunday. Prospect Fair is the next major event after the Twilight concerts, March the 21st, and the Harmony Day Citizenship Ceremony on the 23rd of March. So it's a really busy season over the next month. Any items of general business? No? Sorry.
I just wanted to go back a step to talk about the residential session. So given that it's only a couple of weeks away, and I know that we received an email from the consultant doing the disk analysis stuff, is there any other preparation?
Sorry, Councillor.
No. Is there any other preparation that we're going to be asked to do or prepare beforehand?
Yes.
Full stop.
Yes.
Question mark, sorry.
CEO will make sure there is. CEO is going to address that in more detail.
Yeah, we're currently finalising the program at the moment. We're meeting with some consultants later this week or early next week. As soon as we've done that, we'll circulate the full program and any reading material that you're required to go through. So it should be on its way fairly soon.
Right. I have asked for the Saturday night over dinner to incorporate an online session. So anything you've seen around the world that you'd like us to have a look at, please don't make it an hour-long TED lecture that might hold our attention. But something that's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it'll dip into what other people are doing. I'd actively encourage. And the Director of Economic Development and I will be running that session just to stimulate some thinking. The next day, when we wake up, after having gone to bed at a very reasonable hour with our wits firmly with us, the next day we'll be looking at our strategic plan, both looking at what we've got and what the process of change might be going forward, and someone to help us understand both of those aspects and more. So stimulating our thinking Saturday night will be very helpful for the Sunday morning session. Any more questions on that weekend? You will get further correspondence about that. Right, terrific. General business, didn't seem like there was any items. Therefore, there probably aren't any general business of an urgent nature at all. No? Then confidential items are nil. Meeting is closed.